Hello, welcome to الكرامة news channel. It is 9 p.m. our time for top stories, and we start with latest developments in Libya. Parliament member Saleh Galama said that the dialogue team will be summoned to hold consultation, stressing that there is no any amendment on what has been agreed upon and signed by initials in the final draft. He also asserted that any drafts or other modifications will not be accepted. Galama noted that the Parliament speaker sent a previous message to the UN mission, and the Parliament has not received any response, pointing out that the Parliament stressed the importance of responding to this message. Galama further says the Parliament participated in the dialogue process as a strategic solution, but this does not mean that they will ignore the demands of the Libyan people. Parliament member Tariq Al-Jroushi says that the Parliament is keen on reaching a political solutions for the Libyan crisis, saying they are committed to the first draft. Al-Jroushi added in a statement today that the Parliament has not been consulted on amendments of the agreement draft, stressing that the Parliament completely rejects any modifications. Parliament member Yunus Fanoush called for proceeding with the formation of a national unity government apart from the remnants of the outgoing Congress and even apart from the United Nations if UN envoy to Libya Bernardino Leon doesn't accept this offer. Fanoush added that various dialogue tracks prove that there is a sincere desire by a lot of parties to agree with the Parliament in order to reach a government of national unity. Moreover, he stressed that the Parliament is ready to negotiate with them in order to form a government and put an end to terrorism practices and fighting legitimacy by different army groups, as well as standing behind the Arab Libyan armed forces. Independent Parliament members Al-Sharif Al-Wafi and Tawfiq Al-Shaibi threatened to withdraw from a Sekhira dialogue if they don't receive a response from the UN mission for the remarks on the proposals. For his part, Al-Wafi noted that he and Al-Shaibi sent an email to the UN envoy to Libya, Bernardino Leon, stressing the refusal to any amendments of the political agreement, which was signed by initials last July. He added that mechanisms of the compositions of Supreme Council of the State was of the principal points which the Parliament surprised that it had been resolved by the mission in favor of those who impose themselves by force in the capital without regard to any opinion in reference to the outgoing National Congress. Britain's ambassador to Libya, Peter Mills, said that his country doesn't prejudice towards any of the Libyan parties participating in the dialogue sponsored by the United Nations in Libya. Millet added that it is difficult to reach a political agreement in which all Libyans win, stressing that the success of the dialogue is the only solution in Libya. Millet also stressed the need of returning life to the Libyan economy, highlighting the need to be prepared to resist terrorism. He further said that the unity government is a must to address the terrorist Daesh group with the help of the international community. German Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier said the opportunities of forming a new national unity government in Libya increased. Steinmeier called on Libyan parties to sign the compromise reached by the international mediation, noting that this is the only solution for the country in order to return to the path of political transition and access peace and stability. He added that this would be a signal of hope for the influx of many refugees from and across Libya. And still, Libya and the interim government is committed to housing rents for Al-Karama guests in Tobruk. The government issued several decisions to resolve the refugees crisis in the city of Tobruk and Tajura town, where it allocated 2,701,060 dirhams for cabinet office to pay house rents for the displaced people in Tobruk for a period of 12 months. Moreover, it has allocated million dinars to resolve or to solve the displaced people crisis in Tajura and Fashlum. And now we transfer to Arabia arena, and especially Yemen. Militia forces loyal to Yemen's president fought against Houthi militiamen in the country's third largest city of Taiz. The clashes have been going on since the Houthis stepped back from the southern port city of Aden. The fighting has left much of the city in ruins and its residents pinned down inside their homes. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Khalid Bahah arrived in Aden today. His spokesman said advancing efforts to re-establish an administration on home soil after a month working from exile with Gulf Arab allies to battle Houthi control of the country. The government spokesman said Bahah, who is also vice president, was accompanied by 7 ministers when he arrived in Aden, while local fighters backed by Saudi forces drove the Houthi movement out in July. And now we transfer to Al-Aqsa crisis. Foreign ministers from Gulf Cooperation Council (GCC) member states condemned Israel for its recent action in an Israeli-Palestinian conflict at a meeting in Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia. The foreign ministers of 6 GCC member states attended the 136 sessions of GCC Ministerial Council to discuss situations and problems in the Gulf regions and the Middle East. GCC current chair, the Qatari foreign minister Khalid bin Mohammed Al-Atiyah, said in his opening speech that the Israeli act of denying worshippers entry to Al-Aqsa Mosque was very dangerous. He said it reveals Israel's violation of Al-Aqsa Mosque. The foreign ministers also talked with the GCC Secretary General Abdul Latif bin Rashid Al-Zayani about regional anti-terrorist measures, relations with Iran, and situations in Iraq and Libya. U.S. and allied forces conducted 11 airstrikes against terrorist Daesh group in Iraq and 3 in Syria as a combined joint task force said. The task force said in a statement today that the strikes in Iraq targeted militant tactical units, fighting positions, vehicles and weapons near 8 cities including Beijing, Mosul, Sinjar, Kirkuk, Quetta and al-Baghdadi. It said that in Syria 2 airstrikes had 2 extremist Daesh groups oil field will hit near Abu Kamal, while one near Marra hits a tactical unit. Meanwhile, Australia fighter jet have destroyed an armored personnel carrier belonging to the terrorist Daesh group, the first operation by Australian forces in Syria. Defense Minister Kevin Andrews said today. Last week, Australia agreed to expand into Syria the airstrikes it has been undertaking in Iraq against extremist Daesh group, also known as Daesh, in response to a formal request from Washington. And now we will talk about the crisis of immigration. France's governing socialists and opponents on the right debated in Parliament today about how to deal with the recent flow of migrants at Europe's borders. One side arguing a Schengen Pact was needed for more border control. France's former President Nicolas Sarkozy earlier asked members of the opposition party to vote for proposals to reduce immigrants' access to welfare payment and citizenship. French Prime Minister thus said the Schengen Pact, which removed internal border controls across much of the EU, still allowed countries within Europe to control its national borders when needed. He said France, which has proposed to accept 24,000 migrants over 2 years as part of an EU-wide plan to take in 160,000 migrants, had already temporarily restored some border controls. My audience, that is the wrap-up of our top stories for today. For much more, you can check our website www.الكرامة.tv. Thanks for being with us. My greeting, رانيا البليدى.